So I watched Eternals again, and this is why Galactus will debut sooner than later. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? It's Sam. Welcome back to the channel. And with the Eternals coming out on Disney Plus recently, I figured I'd discuss how it sets up plot points in other MCU projects, Black Panther 2, Galactus, and the potentiality of the new Avengers HQ. Eternals was a huge movie in scale and introduced us to a brand new top dog in the cosmic hierarchy of power by introducing the Celestials. Obviously in the comics there are people with higher power, but for right now in the MCU, we are here. And so if you have seen the movie, you know that in the end, it was all about the emergence and the birth of another celestial host, Tiamat the Dreamer, or otherwise known as the Communicator. In the comics, Tiamat was originally one of the first 10 celestial hosts that were sent out, and he happens to be one of the most powerful celestials. In fact, Galactus fears Tiamat in the comics so much that he actually tries to get rid of him while he's sleeping. Tiamat was imprisoned by Eros at one point under a mountain on Earth, and the other celestials for not following through with his mission on Earth. Now, just a quick side note, in the comics, the Avengers do make their headquarters within a dead celestial, the first one to ever come to Earth. Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios said that just like with the blip, the massive celestial sticking out of the core will be addressed in future projects. And I'm sure potential members of the team will go check it out as well. With the team technically being disbanded currently and there being no HQ thanks to Thanos or no Daddy Stark money, this could be a nod to the comics if they use Tiamat as their next headquarters. Now back to the Emergence. In the MCU, the Celestials like Eros spoke about needing to create more Celestials and push the boundaries of life in the universe. And so to do this, they seed planets with Celestials. Celestials are then born when there's enough cosmic energy on that planet, which life gives them. The Celestials genetically engineered the Deviants to wipe out the planet's apex predators. Now there were a lot of comic accurate similarities technically, just twisted in a new way to fit the MCU story. So when Cersei mentions apex predators in the movie, we're presumed to believe it's the Deviants at first, but the entire movie of course is about the actual celestial birth, and if we look further into it, potentially Galactus in the future. Tiamat's rise is clearly a logistical problem that could explode Earth or the core at any moment. If you truly think about it, it's a pretty big deal. To heighten that level of severity, in a recent interview, VFX supervisor for Eternals Matt Aiken revealed that Tiamat's hand sticks out about 300 miles tall, so of course he's noticeable from space. And this is where Galactus comes into play. Eros is likely reporting to someone even higher than him. Whether that's the Living Tribunal, Fulcrum, or another, we know that he is partially lying. Now if the MCU takes a different approach and makes Eros a true villain, it is possible that Galactus is connected to him or the Celestials in general. Now I don't think that will happen, but it is something to theorize. What I do think is really happening though is this will be the gateway for Galactus to come to Earth. Galactus sends his heralds first, the Silver Surfer being the most notable one, and this will be the scope out for planet Earth. Remember how I mentioned cosmic energy? Now upon realizing there's a massive celestial frozen, Galactus would of course be notified, and if he is aware of Tiamat like in the comics, he would want to get rid of him as soon as possible. The only difference here is that Tiamat was never technically alive in the MCU, so they might just throw it off as cosmic energy rather than knowing Tiamat himself. But anyway, Earth's problem would now become Galactus due to the Celestials. It is not only the easiest explanation for why he would come to Earth, but one that makes total sense. If you're unfamiliar with Galactus' origin, he was a humanoid named Gala born in the previous version of Earth 616. And just for a little bit more information, his race was called the Tai. To dumb down the story, they were on a quest to find a way out before the big crunch enclosed everything, through what they called the heart of the cosmic egg. And when they tried to reach the center, the radiation wiped out everyone except Galen, who gained an unbelievable amount of cosmic energy. He was eventually merged with the unnamed entity in the embodiment of the six cosmos, thus creating a new being between the two, Galactus the Devourer of Worlds. And he eventually made his way into the next version of the 616 universe that we all know and love. He's called the Devourer of Worlds for a reason and needs an insane amount of cosmic energy to stay living, which is why consuming a Celestial would be most certainly ideal for him. So it's clear that Galactus is one of, if not maybe the apex predator of the MCU, and possibly the next with of course the introduction of the Fantastic Four coming as well. In the comics, the Black Knight's Ebony blade was also used to behead a Celestial, and Galactus' design is similar to the approach of a Celestial in the MCU. Maybe the sword could also deal this damage to Galactus or Eros, being that the Ebony blade in general is one of the most powerful weapons. So you can check out my Black Knight video with the link in the description below to learn more about that. So of course Galactus is a big deal, but this also has major ramifications for more current projects coming out, most notably Black Panther 2, and specifically the Namor and Atlanteans being introduced. We know that Namor will be a huge part of the plot for Wakanda Forever, and the rise of Atlantis has been teased as an Easter egg way back since Iron Man 2, where there was a location indicating Atlantis. Tiamat rose from portions of the Indian Ocean, but it's not to say that he didn't disrupt everything around him. And the Atlanteans in the comics have settlements around and outside the Atlantic Ocean, and so who's to say some of these cities were not destroyed? There were earthquakes in the beginning of the Eternals movie teasing the celestial birth, and even in Endgame, Okoye notifies Natasha that there was a huge underwater earthquake in the Atlantic Ocean. So could this have been Tiamat or the Atlanteans? Like I mentioned above, not only might this be an attraction for the Avengers, but it's also a massive celestial and it's a tourist ground for people to come and see it. And with more populated areas comes more disturbances to ocean life and so on, something that would bother Namor. Having not read any leaks, my theory for how the Wakandans get into this is of course due to vibranium. Does Tiamat possess any sort of vibranium or material within him? Or did the Emergence reveal more vibranium in the depths of the ocean? And if this is the case and Namor and the Atlanteans started using it, this would most certainly get the Wakandans' attention and start a conflict. A true land vs. sea battle for vibranium. So let me know your thoughts about all this information and post your theories in the comments below. Also, do you like Eternals, whether it was after the first watch or rewatch? Follow me on Twitter at AnotherMarvelG for all daily news and updates. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and if you like Marvel, the MCU, comics, and everything in between, subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I just want to say thank you. I'm another Marvel guy, and I'll catch y'all on a blip.